Hello and welcome to another episode of Story Bakes with Katie Sue. We're still on the book cover train with the YA dystopian romance An Ocean Apart by Jill Tew, which will be out October 14th, 2025. These cream puffs are covered in black cocoa craquelin, and the filling is inspired by the flavors of hummingbird cake with some American buttercream decor, raspberry jam, and a brooch made of candy wafers and sparkling sugar. Links to all of the recipes I've used or modified are in the description box below. Now let's get to the baking. It is summer, or at least it was when I made this, and it is my least favorite time of year for baking, so I'm dividing the work for these into 2 days in my attempt to avoid doing much of anything in the heat of the day. First, I'm making black cocoa craquelin to represent the black base color of the cover for An Ocean Apart by mixing 75 grams of softened butter with 85 grams of sugar, then stirring in 30 grams of black cocoa. After that's incorporated, I'm stirring in 55 grams of all-purpose flour. I thought I filmed rolling this out between 2 sheets of parchment using 5mm sticks to get an even thickness, but I didn't. Last time I made Choux craquelin was for the Gilmore Girls intro triple coffee cream puffs, and this time I made the craquelin recipe 1/3 bigger and used 5mm sticks instead of 3mm ones to see if I could get a more even coverage for the choux, and I think it ends up working pretty well. The filling for the cream puffs is inspired by the flavors of hummingbird cake, so I'm starting with a 1.5 batch of the pineapple curd from Baked by an Introvert. It just seemed germane to me. I'm also adding an extra tablespoon of cornstarch because I wanted it thicker than the pictures on the website. Using canned pineapple juice is important here because it's been heated enough to kill bromelain, the enzyme that makes pineapple the snack that bites back. Bromelain will also cause the curd to break down, so canned juice is the way to go. The flavors of hummingbird cake, which combines pineapple, banana, pecans, and cinnamon, felt fitting for a couple of reasons. First off, Hummingbird is a nickname/term of endearment that Henry, best friend of main character Eden, has for her. Now, of course, they've been best friends for a very long time, and of course there might be some feelings developing there, but don't be ready to ship them just yet, because An Ocean Apart has a love triangle. One side of the love triangle is friends to lovers, and the other is enemy to lovers, and I use the singular here on purpose, because only one of them knows that they're enemies. Chocolate work remains one of my major baking weaknesses, so I'm using white candy wafers to make this brooch. I've sketched out a design and I'm piping out a simplified version of it on some acetate, then I'm using some silver luster dust and sparkling sugar for the jewels. But what about this enemy to lover's secret identity, you ask? Eden lives in the potable water-starved marshes of Florida in a dystopian world where the government is controlled by corporations. I mean, can you imagine? The elite live on cruise ships while everyone else is left to eke out a life on the ravaged land, and Eden has decided to do something about it. With the help of the mysterious political agitator, the Ringmaster, she boards a cruise ship under a false identity and enters a Bachelor-style dating competition with the aim to win Theo's, the heir to a corporation's, heart, then steal his money to help the marshes. In place of roses, the contestants receive teardrop-shaped brooches, which I'm attempting to replicate here. But is Theo perhaps not the heartless villain Eden thought he was? Might they share a connection, an attraction that feels like a betrayal to her community and to Henry? Might they help each other grow and become more than they ever thought? I mean, it's possible. I was stumped on how to visually represent the hummingbird on the cover without making myself crazy by actually trying to make hummingbirds, so we're going with that pop of red with some raspberry jam. This is super quick and easy with just 100 grams of frozen raspberries and 75 grams of sugar cooked together until thick, and then this is going in the fridge until tomorrow. It is now the next day, sometime just after 6 a.m., and I am making choux and drinking coffee, as one does. First, I'm mixing the dry ingredients of 90 grams of bread flour and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, so it's ready when I am. Then in a saucepan, I combine 60 grams of water, 60 grams of whole milk, and 60 grams of butter, which I'm heating until it steams. The dry ingredients go in all at once, and I stir until it all comes together and it leaves a film on the bottom of the pan. After the choux dough has cooled a bit, I'm adding in eggs, and the amount will vary depending on the consistency of the dough. You want it to fall off of the spatula in a nice V shape, and as I added more egg, I started whisking them first and only working in about half at a time to make sure I didn't thin it out too much. While I search for the perfect choux consistency, let's go back to my other reason for why I chose hummingbird cake flavors for the filling. Hummingbird cake was created in Jamaica in the 60s. Honestly, I would have gone with these flavors just because of the name, and while they don't actually go to Jamaica and An Ocean Apart, they are cruising around the Caribbean, so it was a nice bit of proximity there. A little icing on the cream puff, if you will. When the choux is ready, I'm marking my baking sheet with a 2.5-inch round cookie cutter, then using a pastry bag with a wilt into a round tip to pipe out the puffs. Jill Tew includes food in the book, which I love, and Eden encounters some baked goods on the ship. What stood out to me was eclairs and what Eden calls cream puff things. And while these aren't elaborated on any further, cream puffs seemed like the way to go. The Craquelin gets cut out with the same cookie cutter, and then these go in the oven at 375 degrees Fahrenheit for 30 to 40 minutes or until they're nice and puffed. The cover for An Ocean Apart is mostly black in the background, but has this blue at the bottom. So I'm making a super simple glaze of just some sifted powdered sugar and milk, then I'm using this True Color natural food coloring for the first time. It comes as a powder, which you mix with a bit of water before adding it to whatever it is you're making. My original idea was to make the glaze with blueberries, but blueberries are acidic, and acid will make the dye turn purple, so plain it is. I'm dipping the choux so that the bottom part gets covered with the glaze, then taking off the excess and leaving them on a wire rack to dry while I prepare the filling. So the pineapple curd turned out much firmer than I anticipated, but we're going to work with it. I'm loosening it first with a spoon, then with a hand mixer. I was a little worried at this point, but then whipped in some heavy cream a little at a time until I was happy with the consistency, and I was very relieved that this worked out. Next, I'm mashing up a ripe banana until it's as smooth as I could get it, then whipping the rest of my cream in a chilled bowl to stiff peaks. You could add some sugar to the whipped cream here if you'd like, but I didn't and was very happy with the sweetness in the end. The mashed banana gets stirred into the pineapple curd, then all of this gets folded together along with some toasted pecans. At this point, you should also add in some cinnamon, which I forgot, but even so, this was very, very tasty. Alright, let's put it all together. I thawed some American buttercream I had left over from April, it's always a good idea to label things, and colored it yellow and orange with a combination of more True Color food dyes and some Americolor. These go into the same bag with a Wilton 106 tip. I'm cutting a hole in the top of the choux, then piping in the Hummingbird cream. I wish I had hollowed out the choux a bit because some of them ended up not being filled very much, but that's a lesson learned for next time. Another lesson I learned while reading An Ocean Apart was of a linguistic nature. One of the side characters is from Haiti, and having studied French in high school and college, I thought his dialogue that wasn't in English was a phonetic spelling of French. An interesting choice, I thought to myself. Since I'm on the joint street team for An Ocean Apart and Lissa Mia Smith's upcoming YA Gilded Age revenge romantasy Gilded in Vengeance, I'm on a Discord channel with the other street team members and the authors. So I asked about it, and I learned that it was not phonetically spelled French, which on a second read, it obviously wasn't, but Haitian Creole, one of the official languages of Haiti. Pretty cool. A bit of white buttercream covers the hole in the choux and holds the brooches in place, and we have an Ocean Apart Hummingbird cream puffs. I really like how these turned out. Do I wish that I had figured out how to make a tiny hummingbird or had learned how to jelly art some lilies? Of course, but we can't have everything. Unless everything means class warfare, a televised dating competition, a love triangle, high-tech ball gowns, and secret identities. Then you can have everything in An Ocean Apart by Jill Tew, out October 14th, 2025. Here we go. Black cocoa choux craquelin, hummingbird cream, raspberry jam, and American buttercream. All inspired by the cover for An Ocean Apart. The cinnamon would have been delicious, but I could still eat the filling with a spoon and be perfectly happy. The banana and pineapple complement the toasted pecans, and it has a nice light sweetness. The black cocoa is balanced by the sweetness of the icing and buttercream, and the raspberry jam is a nice bright pop. Overall, really good, but the filling is the real star of the show. Hit the like button if you want to see more bookish bakes, subscribe and hit the notification bell if you're so inclined, pre-order An Ocean Apart and add it to Goodreads, Storygraph, and Fable, and let me know in the comments what books, shows, or movies I should turn into bakes next. Thanks for watching.